Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
We are live. We are in almost rainy Southern California. Over here to my left, we have CEO and artist creator of Pop Fly Pop Shop, Daniel Horine. Say hello.
Hey, folks.
And over here, he is the man. 21 seasons in the MLB, batted 307 times, 20 plus home runs 16 times, 100 RBI 6 times, home run title, RBI crown, first ballot Hall of Famer, 85% vote, best switch hitter of all time. That's right, Mickey Mantle fans. I said it. Eddie Murray.
All right. How's everybody going tonight? How you doing, Evan? Daniel?
Good. So good. We are 85 days away from spring training, but right now we have something way more exciting. We have what expires and is retired this Sunday, the new Pop Fly of the Week, Eddie Murray. Daniel, can you go ahead and show that cover? So if you are new to the Pop Fly universe, this is expired and retires this Sunday, and it is gone forever. You can buy it as is. You can get an autograph option. There's even an autograph inscription option. Eddie Murray, I love to get your feedback on this beautiful cover. Did you grow up with any interaction with comic books at all?
Not really, not with comic books, but I tell you, that particular look might scare a few pictures from seeing that. That's a pretty good picture. I'll tell you, that is, I saw it and I fell in love with it right away. And, I talked to my girl who helps me out a little bit, and she saw it, and without the color and, everything came out, I think, perfect. And I love the eyes on that, the scowl there, whatever people call it. I think I'm a nice guy.
Well, hey, real quick, fans, if you have a question you want to ask Eddie Murray yourself, get your question in. The question Daniel picks will get a little Pop Fly reward at the end of our chat. Daniel, you've done very comic book style covers in the past, like Julio Franco fighting dinosaurs. This one, you got to see that, Eddie Murray. This one is a little bit more of a classic, more of like a poster I would have had up in my room. Talk about why you chose to go this route.
I think, when looking back on the career of Steady Eddie, there are certainly highlights, but the thing that really stood out about your career, Eddie, is just your career, the consistency of it, and so I found less of a singular moment to focus on, like a singular moment of a story to tell, but just instead of a concept piece like Julio Franco battling dinosaurs, I felt this is a hero piece, and you are on the Mount Rushmore of first baseman and on the Mount Rushmore of Orioles players, and so this was a very classic traditional hero piece. I felt was appropriate for Steady Eddie.
Well, when it comes to nicknames and things of that nature, I think there were a lot of things that came my way in the beginning, and nothing stuck. And I think the thing that made this particular name stick, I could go up and hit a little squibbler down the third base line, and I'll come back in and sit in the dugout. And I said, fellas, next time up, he's going deep. And they go, yeah, right. You know, hit two little squibblers. Next time up, I hit it and take him out. And they just go, how does he do it? He not only said it, but he did it. But he gave us no indication that he was on this guy. And that's what normally happens when you find a picture that he really can't fool you, you figure, and everybody sees it in that dugout. They say, ooh. And they told me what my telltale was. I would take a picture or whatever, even on a take, I would slap my thigh real quick 2 or 3 times. And next thing you know, hey, they said he's on him. He's going to get him. And that particular name, Steady Eddie, stayed. And I was really, I was okay with it. But, it was hard being, somebody coming up to you saying that. But the people, they took a liking to it in Baltimore.
Well, the beauty of your career to me is your consistency. After you got Rookie of the Year, you had 8 consecutive years where you were top 11 MVP. And so if I had the choice between a player who gets MVP and then that's about it, the rest of their career is kind of boring, give me the 8-10 year top 5. How important to you was it your consistency?
Oh, that's the thing right there. There's nothing better than to have your teammates look at you coming up, and it's like it's over. Eddie's here. Pretty much. I was pretty much going to get it done, and then that was an awesome thing right there because, hey, that's who we in the fire pits with. We're with each other, and it's nice to have guys come out and depend on you. The fans are yelling and cheering, and I tell you that was something in the beginning when they started at Eddie cheer. It was frightening in the beginning. I mean, I had to learn to turn that volume down so I could do what I do. But no, I really love that.
Did you prefer away games during that time then when your home fans were going nuts?
The only time I wanted to do that was when it was coming down to 500 home runs. I tell you, man, I looked up and I'm not looking in the stands, but all of a sudden it was just a sea of orange. And I backed out of the box and I go, oh no, I can do it on command, but it has to be mine, not your wanting me to do it. But it was a lot of fun going through that and seeing the numbers go up, and finally to hit 500 was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that is Steady Eddie. Maybe Daniel, can you show that cover one more time? Go to popflypopshop.com. It is retired forever this Sunday, and you'll be forced to go to eBay. Eddie Murray's being gracious there was an autograph option, and there's also an inscription option. But man, Eddie Murray, for those 8 years, I mean, just pencil you in for Gold Glove style defense, 27 bombs, 370 on base percentage. Like if whoever signs Aaron Judge could guarantee an 8-year stretch like that, they'd be more than happy. And I think the perfect contrast was actually your teammate in 96, Brady Anderson, the kind of out of nowhere 50 home runs and then never heard of again. I mean,
I hear coming. No, we're good dinner buddies. Every now and then we'll hook up, and especially if Cal come around, we'll all sit around and eat. Somehow we really enjoyed eating together, the three of us.
Daniel and I were sort of laughing last night that if someone could be an underappreciated 500 home run first ballot Hall of Famer, like I guess that's kind of you, just because you were so consistent. Did you ever feel underappreciated where people just expected you to do that year after year?
No, not that they expected. I expected it from myself, which was to go out there and be as consistent as possible to drive in those runs when they were out there. That's what the game was about. When you played in that backyard, it was about winning the game. And, I tell you, that's really the best thing anybody could say is that I was clutch, that I was steady. And, they're pulling for you just as hard as I'm pulling for me. But everything was really, nice for me to grow up there in Baltimore. It was a little low keyed, and then they started to chant. Then the cards came up, but it didn't bother me wherever I went after that. People cheering or whatever, because it was appreciation. Mm-hmm.
Now, Daniel, you often have a hard time deciding what uniform to put a player in. You also had to decide which batting stance to put for Eddie Murray. What side of the plate? How did you land on where to have him batting?
Well, I am so glad of the switch hitter aspect of it because I can decide where compositionally do you go? Do you go on the left side or right side? So finally, I'm able to have a little bit of artistic license. Like, okay, we'll go with this one. Put you on the left hand side over here. So it was a compositional artistic choice for this one.
Right. I used to know exactly how many home runs I had left-handed and right-handed, and I tell you that was people had no idea. I came very close to my first year. I think I almost hit 400 right-handed, and they would come and ask, well, what hand are you? Are you left-handed or you're a right-hander? No, I was a right-hander who the year before the big leagues, thanks to my coach, Jim Schaefer, saw me hit a couple of balls in batting practice. He would let us, if we came out early and hit batting practice, we would go out and hit on the other side. And he's watching me hit the ball over the fence. And next thing you know, he's arguing with the Orioles. I think I might have found something. And now it becomes, well, we might mess up the best right-handed hitter we got in the organization. He says, no. He can always go back and hit right-handed if he can make this transition to hit left-handed. But I was so glad that no one had the experience or thought they had the experience to help me out. I figured it out all on my own. I did not, for some reason, I think the biggest thing for me learning how to hit left-handed was not to pull the ball right away. And, you just accepted the field opening up. The more at bats you got, the more that field opened up. I can still, believe it or not, remember my first left-handed home run that I pulled. I mean, I feel like I was Ted Williams, running around, jumping up, running around the bases because I wasn't thinking about pulling. And you finally pulled a home run, and it was outstanding. I mean, it was just something you were happy about.
Are you saying you didn't hit switch like in minors or?
The last year there, we were playing in Double-A, Charlotte, North Carolina, and we would go on a road trip. And the first day in every stadium, every city, we would come out and hit batting practice early. And like I said, he just allowed one of the guys. He said, "Well, I don't hit left-handed. This is my last round. Let me, get over there and hit left-handed. This guy wants to hit right-handed." So he did, and he just couldn't believe how I made contact and hit the ball right away. And like I said, it was trouble for the Orioles to make a decision for him. They were going on Jim Schaefer to say, this kid can do it. And they said, well, we might mess up the best right-handed hitter we have. And he said, we can live with that, going back to hit right-handed, but let's see if he can work this left-handed out. So that was the greatest move I've ever done in baseball, was to learn how to hit left-handed.
When I was in Pony, I asked my coach, "Hey, can I hit lefty today?" And he said, "Why don't you get a couple of hits righty first before you switch over?" Were you involved in the conversations at all with the Orioles with Cedric Mullins when he gave up switch hitting a year ago?
Oh, no. They didn't do it. I was really surprised in what he did. He didn't hit quite as many home runs, I don't think, this year, and the average might have came down a little bit. But Cedric, I really wished he hadn't given it up, because I tell you, there's nothing like a 95-mile-an-hour, 100-mile-an-hour fastball right around that chin. See, that's why I shave to the day. But you don't need that baseball shaving you. But he really did. He's coming around.
Well, let's show that cover one more time. Cedric Mullins is a great Oriole, but he ain't no Eddie Murray. This, again, retires on Sunday forever. There is a raw option, a autograph option, an autograph inscription option. Daniel, I found out your son has met Eddie Murray, but I have not. Tell us about that.
That's true. So this is my second time getting to chat with you, Eddie. I got to meet you over the summertime. Me and my son got to meet you with Ozzie Smith, and you were absolutely
right there. Yeah.
Yep, you were absolutely the highlight of my trip to Cooperstown, as well as his. You guided that little boy to the dugout, held his hand, and said, "Come on, you sat next to me and Ozzie. You wanted him over by you. It was so cool, and to see a legend just take such good care of my sweet little guy. It warmed my heart. But that was such a fun moment there, and I'm
glad he had a ball. I'm glad he had a ball, and I tell you, I ended up with most of the guys on the team's kids anyway. When they started that chant, that's the first thing the kids heard when they come to the ballpark, and that's what kind of turned them towards me. But then in spring training, we used to take most of the kids like 2 nights, and me and Al Bunbury, would rent a house. And we had plenty of ice cream. Trust me, me and Al eat ice cream. But we would have all the kids over, had a swimming pool. We cooked for them, and while the parents were out on a date. And, we really enjoyed doing that for them.
Rad.
Yeah.
Daniel, any fan questions there that you want to bring up?
Yeah, there's one one timely one that I wanted to bring up. You know, especially with us losing Gaylord Perry.
Oh yeah.
Someone asked, you know, it's a sad day with Gaylord Perry's passing. Any personal recollections of your history with him?
Oh, I can remember the first time meeting him. I was a baseball fan, so we head down to Arlington to play. We're there, and him and Lee Mayer got some age on me a couple of years. So um, I see him, and how you doing, Mr. Perry? How you doing? And he says, I'm doing fine. And so he shakes my hand, and he just swallows my hand. Gaylord Perry had the biggest shoulders I've ever seen.
Wow.
So we go to play the next day. He has to pitch, and I hit him pretty good that day. Singleton hit him pretty good that day, and he said to me, he said, "Hey, what's the problem?" I said, "What are you talking about, Mr. Perry?" And he goes, "I'm calling him Mr. Perry because he's bigger than me." So he goes, "What's the problem?" And he started talking about me running up in the box. I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Gaylord, I saw it too. They had like you weren't throwing the ball hard enough. These guys couldn't wait to get up there to hit." And I'm going, "No, no, no." I'm trying to get Lee May to hush because I am not fighting Gaylord Perry. Gaylord Perry was huge. But Gaylord turned out to be really, really a nice guy. He was a fun guy to still run into the Hall of Fame with when we go there. He would be sitting in the lobby most of the times. And the thing I enjoyed most, I think, about going to the Hall of Fame was probably my sisters.
Mm.
I had 7 sisters, believe it or not, and there were 4 boys. But the girls would stand there in the lobby and talk baseball with these guys, and they were looking at me differently, like maybe I do belong in here, you know. But yeah, that was it was a fun time.
So
Mm.
cool. All
What's
right.
our we had a question here?
Yeah, if you have time for one more, we'll ask you another one. Uh, Peter asked, if you were in the upcoming Hall of Fame Contemporary Era Committee, who would you vote for? Loaded question. We can pass on this one if you want.
Yes, let's pass on that because I
All
can't.
right, pass.
I mean, you know, with let's say with Albert Pujols' numbers, you can't argue with those numbers. I would say you watch Mike Trout, if he can stay on the field all the time, those are some numbers you won't be able to turn your head
Yep.
to say no. There's some pitchers out there that are dominating and things of
Hmm.
that nature. You know, it's a shame that everybody gets tainted a little bit due to the steroids and stuff that were out there. I've seen what they can do. You know, you've seen guys, you know, start to hit home runs, or you start to see all these big arms on the pitcher's mound. Hey, you know, it's a shame that it's a part of the game, you know, that you have to, was he clean, was he not? And, you know,
Hmm.
I don't play that. I don't get
Yeah.
into trying to guess what, who was taking what. All I can tell you is, and everybody would tell you, Eddie Murray didn't touch no weights. I used to tell
Hmm.
everybody, those things are heavy. No, I didn't.
Oh,
Hell
I,
yeah, I did
I,
not play with weights, and used to start to watch the kids at the end of my career. I mean, the game is over, and they running to the weight room to lift more weights and things like that. But that wasn't for me. I had if you had some success at doing something, it was sort of like why change? You know, I
yeah.
did what I did, and people. I will say the most embarrassing thing, sort of, but it really wasn't, was when I found out that the kids were coming out to early batting practice to see me hit.
Mm.
wow.
My batting practice isn't all that to look at. My first round, I flipped every ball the opposite field. If you threw it up under me, I still would hit the ball the opposite field. That's was something that I learned to do. I mean, it was like you always keep the opposite field in mind, and you get 2 strikes on you sometimes, and you just guess wrong. Well, that swing was always there because you practice it every day, left-handed or right-handed, and
Mm.
you know there
Yeah.
were things that yeah, there was something to my madness, you know, and everybody used to want to see me hit the ball over the fence. I said, well, 65 miles an hour, 60. I said, you should be able to do that. that's not necessarily the swing I want to work on. I mean,
Mhm.
just want to be able to make a 2-strike adjustment, and hey, you can drive in a run with 2 strikes the opposite field.
Yeah.
I
Well,
did that a few times.
to your point, I grew up here in LA, and so Oral Hershiser, and Pedro Guerrero, you were my three guys, and Alfredo Griffin sometimes. My guys on the Dodgers. I loved you guys. I was one of the ones there watching batting practice. Loved it. And a comment, sort of quasi question, but more of a, I guess, comment is Evan and I were talking yesterday just about your career, and researching and looking backwards, I find that anyone you have ever played with, if they were asked who's the best teammate you ever had, their answer was almost always Eddie Murray. And that's such a compliment to you, is just as a human. That's and as Evan and I were looking back at your career, these franchises that you had spent some time in and left, you came back to towards the end of your career with the Dodgers and the Orioles, and that's such a great testament to you, just as an individual. And it was honestly just so lovely to read about that, and what a
Well,
compliment that was.
that is an awesome compliment. I can remember, I didn't talk a whole lot when I first came up. And finally, you watch your teammates saying, there's something to this. So then the questions will start to pop up. And I remember the first two was Floyd Rayford and Mike Young. And they were, man, how do you drive in runs? He says, nobody does this like you. I mean, what's it? And I tried to tell him, I said, oh no, their heads are spinning. So I said, okay, when you get the sign from Cal Ripken Sr. at third, let's just turn to me in the dugout. I said, shook my head horizontal, it was going to be a breaking ball, something off speed. If I went up and down, it was going to be fast. These two guys, Mike hit 28 home runs in 3/4 of a year. Floyd Rayford wasn't really starting. And then it got to the point where they had to play him in third. He hit 17 and drove in like 68 runs. And it was just, and I mentioned the name Mike Young. And that was just, I really thought a guy that could have done a lot more damage than he did. He was some kind of strong. Mm-hmm. But that's, I appreciate that, because I can remember talking to Manny Ramirez in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I told him, Manny, this is what you're going to get this time up. And I gave him 5 pitches. He went up there and struck out, didn't swing at either pitch. So now everybody's in the dugout. I says, Manny, I says, guess what? You're going to get the same thing again. This, and I gave him the 5 pitches again. Well, Manny hits it out of the park. So when you get Jody Garrett and some other guys coming over, well, I want to know what's coming. And like, you know this. So I can remember like Jamie Moyer is not a person you want to send a kid up against without really knowing what Jamie throws. And I told him, I said, hit the first pitch over his left arm, over that Key Bank sign in Cleveland. Second pitch, Milton Bradley led the game off, and he hit it right over the sign. And I go, darn. And I'm here. And everybody goes, but Eddie, he did it. And I go, yeah, he won't listen to me the next time. So I go, Milton, I says, you took his strength, which is his changeup, and you did just what you were supposed to do. I said, he's going to throw that little 84-mile-an-hour fastball right in here on your knuckles. I says, open up and hit that thing over the left field fence. Well, Milton didn't believe me, and I already told him. I said, guys, I said, he's not going to listen. First pitch, 84-mile-an-hour. He hit a rocket that ricocheted over the first base dugout, hitting right-handed, and everybody started laughing. And I said, guys, if you think that was funny, watch this pitch. Well, he threw it in there again, and Milton's bat ended up in about 5 pieces, and he was thrown out at first base. But it was just, just things about the game, and you just try and teach him. Hey, if he got you out with it, well, guess what? That was his successful round. Well, we got to guess and get his pitch into your thinking, and now you know when it's coming.
Wow. You hear that, Astros? That's how you do it the legitimate way. Well, hey, we are up against the wall, but Eddie Murray, Hall of Famer, thank you so much for doing the project with Daniel. Thank you for this
Thank
gift
you.
of your time. You were in 9 playoff series and you hit homers in 8 of them. You were Steady Eddie, Mr. Consistency. Daniel cheered for you on the Dodgers, but I saw you in Anaheim at my Angels. Thank you for,
I almost hit for the cycle and home runs that day. I think Candelaria started that game, John, and I ended up hitting a grand slam, a 3-run homer. I had everything but a 2-run homer. And
Wow.
the guys told me, we were in Oakland, and it's the 3rd inning. They said, you got 8 RBIs or something. And I'm going, this must be a misprint, But, that was just a game because we had someone come to the ballpark, and her manager called me and said, hey, could you get her to change her mind? It was Emma Sams from Dynasty. They said, get her to change her mind to come this night. And I said, hey, you got to come this night. I said, I'm really going to play good this night. For some reason, I said, I know I'm going to have a good night. I didn't know I was going to have a night like that. But, they were just thankful because I think the next day they were throwing her a party somewhere. And she was trying to come out, and anyway, it worked out perfect.
Wow. Hear that, Sabermetrics people? RBIs matter.
Yes, they do.
Thank you so much, Eddie Murray. I'm super excited for this print. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Oh, thank you, guys. Our magazine is awesome, man. I love that picture. Thanks a lot there, Daniel.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you
guys.
very much.
Hall of Famer Eddie Murray, everybody.
Thank you.
Woo. I need a second to breathe.
Wow.
All right. How you feeling, Daniel? Man, I don't get over hearing. I mean, any major league player, it's awesome hearing them like talk with you about your art, but just man, no disrespect to the mid-level players of the world. It's just something different when you have a voice like Eddie Murray talking about the art.
Yeah, it's wild. There as old as I will get doing this project, I'm still 10 years old, and I can't believe I'm here. Having Eddie Murray says your art's great. Like, man, that hits in a big way.
Yeah, go ahead and let's pull it up.
Sure.
So just to remind everybody, go to popflypopshop.com. This is retired forever on Sunday, so be sure to buy it before then. You can buy it raw, just like this. You can get an autograph option, and there's an autograph inscription option. Now, Daniel, I think the Oreo logo it's my favorite logo in baseball. And so on first glance, I was like, oh, it's not, he covered it up, but then it's in the corner. So I'm glad you still kept it in the corner. Maybe talk about that. You had an option to throw in a Dodger or an Indians. I know the Angels weren't going to make the cut, but what made you to go all Orioles, all cover?
Well, for me, like I mentioned earlier, growing up, he's a Dodger. He's a Dodger to me. And when my love for baseball was full swing, it was like 1989, 1990, 91 Dodgers. And that was, Eddie Murray time. And, but I feel the world sees him as an Oriole. That's his franchise. Going into the Hall of Fame as an Oriole. He needed to be an Oriole here. As much as I would have loved the Dodgers piece, he needed to be an Oriole.
Yeah, I love the classic of this. I see. Remember those Sport Flicks baseball cards?
Oh yeah.
Like I kind of see a little bit of that in here, where you could see double image in a card. And I said this earlier. At 10-year-old Evan has this poster up in his room. How quick do you have to sort of decide at the very beginning? Am I going, for lack of better terms, wacko crazy and like having Eddie Murray be an airplane, or I'm going classic hero piece, as you mentioned? How early on do you decide that?
Pretty early on. I do a lot of thinking for a project that's very visual. I marinate on the project for a long time, and actually, so I started the Popfly Pop Shop project in June of 2020.
Wow.
My first sketch of the Steady Eddie piece was in August. So it's been over 2 years ago that I did my first rendition of Steady Eddie. And I'm just so glad the stars aligned that actually, I didn't put out that Steady Eddie. I held on to it over 100 releases now. I actually get to work with Eddie to put this out. So jazzed, but all that to say, early on, right at the very beginning of this project, when I was doing, Hank Aaron and Ricky Henderson, like Eddie Murray was right at the top of my list.
How close is this to your original sketch from a couple years back?
Actually pretty darn close. It was very much a hero image like this. It was, just almost like a Rushmore image, like almost like a statue, there, just the presence, like he commands the presence of the piece is Eddie,
Man, I wish I could hear him talk more about switch hitting. Switch hitting, it's almost like the knuckleball. Where and right now there's a downturn of there's not a lot of switch hitters in baseball like there were. And
Right.
I wonder what it's like to be in the minors switch hitting. Like, does a coach in single A have the power to tell a guy, hey, knock it off? Sorry, I thought you were about to say something.
No, I just a little giggle.
Wander Franco, that's the guy. When I see hit switch hitting today, he reminds me of Eddie Murray. I wonder if there's going to be a renaissance of the knuckleball and the switch hitter at some point, or I'm so curious how that process is. Are you doing switch hitting in like little league? When does that start? When does it stop?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. There's so many things that not that long ago were very prevalent. To see a stolen base. We only see it. We only see it in the World Series. It feels like we're in the playoffs.
Yeah, next year they're expanding those bases. They're a little bit bigger. I'm wondering. And have you heard about these pickoff rules they're adding next year?
Tell me.
I don't think I thoroughly understand them, but it's something like a pitcher can only throw over 3 times.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm not sure how that works, but with that and a bigger base, I would hope there's going to be some more stolen bases this next year. But you never know. That's a lost start as well. You're right.
Yeah, I want to see more stolen bases, and I think Eddie is the leader in sacrifice flies. Exciting play, and I want to see more triples. That's what I want to see in 2023.
Man, I know I sound like such a nerd right now. I think a sac fly is the sexiest play in baseball that there is. It's the most underappreciated.
100%.
When there's a runner at third with 1 out, baseball fans, and my guy strikes out, I lose it. Like, I have to leave I can't handle that, because I'm like, all you need is to hit a fly ball, and we get that run coming across, and it's a lost art.
Yeah, well, I think Eddie led the majors in that. Leads the majors in that, I believe.
Wow, I didn't know that. And that's the lost art again, is the RBI. That's such a minimized thing. It's chalked up to RBIs are coincidental. Some would even say it's just you happen to have someone on base when you get a hit. And I'm on the old school sort of mindset to say, to get the run, that's kind of the point of the game, is to score runs. I don't call me crazy, but
how weird.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, what else is going on in the pop fly universe? Anything you want to talk about?
We've got some great collaborations coming up, and we've got another Hall of Famer coming up next Sunday. And we've got the Hall of Fame vote coming also again this Sunday. Super excited about that. I got my spiritual votes in for Dale Murphy.
Oh, man.
We'll see how it goes. We're catching up on a bunch of the past pop flies, working with the fulfillment center, getting these things out faster than we ever have. So super thrilled. It's a super hectic time, and also super exciting.
So for a Hall of Famer next week, is that baseball or football?
Baseball
Hall of Famer next week. And you mentioned another chat somewhere. Giants is coming something soon.
Giants is coming soon.
Okay, I'm trying to connect some dots there.
All right, dude.
Pop Fly, specifically me, owes Jesse Soul an apology. Winner of the Pop Fly Fantasy Baseball 20-team insane lead. Jesse took it down with Aaron Judge as his #1 player. Congrats for dominating. I did get to the finals, just to throw that out there, and then I got spanked to death by Jesse, Mattingly representing there. So you get a $100 Pop Fly gift e-card. from Pop Fly. Great job on that. I'm hoping we can do that league again. That was super competitive and super fun. 85 days away from spring training, winter meetings this week. What is going to happen next week? We got a lot of big-time players on the board, 4 big-time sexy shortstops. Are your Braves going to keep Swanson or let him walk, Daniel?
I hope they keep him. I love Swanson. He's one of my favorites on that team. What's that? You what?
The Angels I think they were second to last in shortstop production last season. So hopefully they're looking at one of those big 4. Judge, what do you say? Is he staying a Yankee or is he going somewhere else?
He's seen, I don't know. I've seen kind of TMZ style videos of him in the airport at San Francisco, but he seems to love the Yankees very much and has a lot of respect for the pinstripes. So I don't know. I'm torn on this one. I'm gonna say he stays in New York.
I'm gonna say Giants make an insane offer and get him for something unheard of. I'm talking like Mike Trout money. He's going to Northern California. Book it next week. Book it. Well, hey, can we not end with my stupid words, but can we end with showing the Eddie Murray print? It is only available until this Sunday. Stop wasting time. You will forget and regret it. Just buy it right now before you forget on Sunday late afternoon. Popflypopshop.com. Get your Steady Eddie print, autograph option, inscription option. Daniel, thanks for coordinating this with the man himself. Thanks for letting me ride your cape and talk to what we said is the most underappreciated first ballot Hall of Famer of all time, if that's possible. Yeah. Thank you, Popfly Universe, for hanging out with us tonight. Hope to see you all soon, and I look forward to see what Hall of Famer is up next week.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Have a good evening and drive safe.
See ya.